Kailash ji, would love to have you up on the stage, please.
What an incredible assembly of people here. Congratulations. I express my gratitude to M.R. Rangaswamiji and his team. The name Rangaswamy, if I literally translate it in English, the master of colors. Rangaswamy. So he brought all Indian colors from India and from rest of the world. That miracle you can do, and you did. I'm also grateful to all those who have showered their love and respect since I came here yesterday, including those who were pulling me here and there to take selfies. I think a few hundred people have taken photos and selfies with me since yesterday, even during my breakfast time. And when I was running here because I was feeling a little bit late, somebody stopped me. "Sir, a selfie." I said, "Okay." The reason was, let me share the secret. I had to wait decades for one photograph with a Nobel Laureate, because I felt that there should be a photo which I will put in my drawing room and bedroom and everywhere. There was an occasion when I have met His Holiness the Dalai Lama, but all the cameras were on him, not on me. I was going closer and closer, but the photographer did not pay any attention on me. That was before Nobel Prize. So when 10 years ago, a journalist called me, "Kailash ji, Nobel Prize," I could not believe my ears because I had no imagination. But when other people have confirmed it from my office, I did not miss the opportunity. I took my mobile phone, smartphone, and went in my washroom, stood in front of the mirror, and I have taken 1, 2, 10, 20 selfies. Several selfies. So my first selfie with the Nobel Laureate, today is a very special day. And the most appropriate way to explain it is through the first mantra of Rig Veda. It says, "Agni mide purohitam yajjasva deva mrityujam hotaram ratnadhatamam." This means three types of people. Purohit means those who intend and engage in a larger social good. Purohit. Ritwij, those who are willing to contribute in a larger social good in their own way. And then Hota, who are wanting to take the message of goodness forward and multiply it further. So Purohit, Ritwij, and Hota assemble together. Vedic Rishi says, assemble together and offer your best. Ignite the fire of knowledge and then convert that knowledge into wealth and prosperity for all. So creation of knowledge has togetherness in it. Offering your best in this yajna that is called yajna. And then make everyone happy. There are so many things, so many teachings, great teachings, which our ancestors have given to us. But friends, this particular closing session is about the sky is the limit. We can do anything together, isn't? So I will focus on a very personal testimony of mine. How I could think to touch the sky and work for it together, not just alone. I will give you 3 concrete examples that has shaped the history of humankind for the betterment of children. And I have some humble contribution in it. But it has a story. When I started to educate and sensitize the people about the issues of children and child slavery in early 1980 or mid-1980, there was no single person, there was no single organization, there was no United Nations agency who was working on this issue. Even the whole notion of rights of the child has been adopted by the General Assembly in 1989, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So it was quite unusual to think like that. I wanted to educate and sensitize the people, so I started a magazine, Sangharsh Jari Rahega, Struggle Shall Continue. One day, a desperate father knocked on my door, whose daughter was born and grew up in slavery at a brick kiln. Several families were lured away from Aligarh to work in Punjab. And somehow this man, Wasal Khan, came to know about me through this magazine. He had one expectation, only one, that I can publish his saga. Because the brothel agents kept on coming to buy that girl, but somehow the deal was not materialized. Then I was writing this story of him. Dear sisters, brothers, I started feeling that his daughter, Sabo, was my daughter, my sister. What would I do? I'm not going to simply write something and be happy about it that I have done my job. I would hold the whole world upside down. Whatever I could do, I will do. So I told him, Wasal Khan, brother, I'm going to go with you to rescue your daughter. I collected some friends. My wife, Sumedha, who is sitting here, she has given her wedding ornaments to manage all the logistics. And then we went to Sirhind. This place is called Sirhind. We were beaten up, me and my friends. Wasal Khan was caught. We had to come empty hands back to Delhi. But I did not give up. I never believe in giving up. Because I believe that all the solutions of any problem lie in the womb of the problem itself. You have to be resilient, you have to be honest, you have to be consistent. So I contacted a friend of mine, lawyer, went to the High Court. High Court has taken the note of it and given the order to free all the children, women and men. Altogether, 36 children, women and men were freed in the month of March 1981. This is the first recorded or documented incident in the history of humankind when the civilian effort has led to rescue of some children from slavery. And then I realized that this is nothing but my inner compassion. When I felt that if she was my daughter, Savo was my daughter, what would I do? I did not sit quiet. It was not empathy. It was not kindness. I don't believe that kindness, empathy, mercy, benevolence can solve the deep-rooted problems in the world. There is a difference between the rest of them. They are good human traits, though, make you a good human being. But empathy can lead to a situation where you feel fatigued, lost, because how long you can hold the suffering of others as your own suffering? But in case of compassion, there is an inherent power to solve the problems of suffering of other people as you solve your own problem with mindfulness. It has tremendous transformative power. And that's why we have launched this new movement, Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion. That is not a new vertical. At the age of 70, I could think of. At the age of 20, I thought that civilization and slavery cannot go hand in hand. We will put an end to child slavery. People were laughing at me when I gave up my career as electrical engineer. But I thought that I can dream a world free of child labor. Today, dear friends, I dream a world which is a compassionate world. This is going to happen. How would it be done? I tell you that this first incident of Basal Khan and Savo has led to a nationwide movement in India, in South Asia, then in the whole world. We organized the Global March Against Child Labor in 1998, joined by 15 million people, 71 presidents and prime ministers, kings and queens across the globe. We covered 80,000 kilometers distance on the road from 3 corners of the world and ended up in Geneva with this demand that there should be an international law to prohibit, to stop criminalized child slavery, child labor, which was not there before. In 1 year after that, in 1999, this law has been enacted. When I planned to organize this global march, people laughed at me that you are not a politician, you are not a president of a country. How can you think of making a new international legislation? And I replied humbly that the power of truth, the power of simplicity, the power of ordinary Indian person with that DNA can shape the new history and the new world which we did together. I was stopped one time. There's another episode. When I was taking some children to enroll in a school who were freed from slavery by me and my colleagues. Perhaps you know that we have freed physically more than 130,000 children and handed them over to their parents. And every time when a child is freed, and the smile of freedom appears on the face of the mother of that child who lost all her hope, and the child cries in joy, I can see, I can feel the glimpse of God. I don't know who has seen and witnessed the God, but I'm so fortunate that me and my colleagues were able to feel that God thousands and thousands and thousands of times in our life. So when the people said, the education authorities said, you are not allowed to bring these children to school. They are filthy, they are dirty. I said that I'm going to sit on a, can I take another 4 or 5 minutes? Can I? Because this young lady is saying, wrap up, wrap up. Should I wrap up or should I? You want to listen to me another 5 minutes? Say yes or no. Don't clap, raise your hands. Young lady, you can also raise your hand. Thank you for your kindness. Couple of more minutes. So I said that I'm going to sit on a hunger fast. You have to enroll these children in school. He called the peon and thrown me away, almost physically. Then a friend of mine, lawyer, said that, Kailash, don't do it. The police will come and arrest you because in India does not have such a law on right to education. Even there is no constitutional provision in Indian constitution. Education is not a fundamental right, but it is just in the direct principles of state policy. I didn't know much. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an engineer. But I said, okay, sir. Then I thought that let us amend India's constitution. Wasn't a crazy idea. But the sky is the limit. I said, it is possible because constitution has been written by people, human beings, and human beings can change the constitution. The constitution is for people. People are not for the constitution and law. So we had a plan and organized a yatra, physical march, which went on for almost 6 months from Kanyakumari to Kashmir to Delhi, demanding amendment in Indian constitution to make education as fundamental right. 163 parliament members from different parties joined hands. Lakhs and lakhs of people joined together. And within a year, India's parliament has amended the constitution and made education as fundamental right in 82nd constitutional amendment. Because then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and then leader of opposition leader Sonia Gandhi, I have met both of them several times, and they agreed, and the entire parliament unanimously adopted the constitutional amendment bill, and then it was adopted, and within 6 years, the right to education has become the reality in the country. Believe me, sky is the limit. There are several examples, but I'm not going to give it anymore. What I say now is that world has never been, yesterday I briefly said this thing, has never been so fragmented, broken, divided, filled with hatred, fear, insecurity, as it is today. But the world has never been so wealthier, so well informed, with so much knowledge and information and data, so many religions and religious practices and religious gurus and preachings. It is filled with all those things. But what is missing? The missing is, in my opinion, the moral accountability and moral responsibility. I'm not talking about the legal responsibility, I'm talking about the moral responsibility. This emerges from within. And that is the reason. Today, there is a serious gap which is growing and deepening between those who are responsible for solving the problems and those who are suffering. They could be politicians, I'm sorry to say, they could be police officers, they could be teachers, they could be doctors. The relationship between the doctors and patients is not that relationship where doctors feel that these are, if they are my son, my daughter, my mother, my father, what would I do? They see them how to make money, how to make money out of it. In the hospitals, what is happening in many parts of the world. So is the faith leaders, most of them. I'm not talking about a few, some of them are sitting here. But gurus are mushrooming every day, and the people are following them. Nothing is bad in it. But what is missing is that connection of feeling for the suffering and problems of others as your own problem. And that is compassion. And that's why I strongly believe that we have to demystify, decode, reinvent, rearticulate, reinvigorate the power of compassion as the transformative power of problem solving, where we have to build a culture where people start feeling the suffering of others as your own suffering and solve it with that kind of sense of urgency. That is needed in all walks of life. And therefore, we have introduced a new idea, a couple of new ideas, but the most important is compassion quotient. We have IQ, we have EQ. This is the time to measure the level of compassion because compassion is innate, it is biological, it's neurological. So how people are connecting, the ability to connect, ability to feel, ability to genuinely feel, ability to think in solving the problem, the ideation, the innovation, the initiative, and eventually the action. All these abilities could be measured, and we can build, we can make algorithms on the basis of that, and we can measure the level of compassion now, and then we can also find the way out that how we are going to enhance the level of compassion. This is my new initiative. And the second initiative is how to build the compassionate leadership in all walks of life. All walks of life. We need champions. We need compassionate leaders. It is not the words which will work. The good intents and good words are good to listen to your eyes. But I am talking about those children. Children who were injured, and I met them in Western African countries. Ivory Coast, somebody was talking about Kotewa, in Kotewa. And when I asked those children, how do you like chocolate? Because they were working in cocoa fields. They said, what is chocolate? They could never dream to eat chocolate. In Pakistan, I was sitting and talking with a girl who was stitching footballs. And all the time, the blood, due to any little mistake, comes from her fingers, and she suck it and work again. And I asked, what is your dream, my daughter? Khwab kya hai tumhara, bete? She said, what is khwab? What else could be bigger crime than denying the dreams of our children? In spite of all the wealth we have in the world. That's why I call for compassion, which has the inherent power of transformation and action. We have to build the compassionate leadership. And we are working on creating the first global center for education, training, experiential learning, exposure to enhance the level of compassion and build the compassionate leadership in all walks of life globally. It is not a vertical I am creating, it is a horizontal thing. Considering that compassion is not a fragrance in the air. You love or you don't love, but you don't need it as a necessity. Compassion is oxygen in the air. If the oxygen is gone, your humanity is gone. Your institutions are killed. Your religions and faith institutions will become huge. But where is that human component? In artificial intelligence, if you are not going to incorporate the humanity, the human component in it, where it's going to lead to? So, dear friends, While concluding, let us dare to dream, my sisters, my brothers. Let us dare to dream a compassionate world. I invite you to imagine a world which I see. I see a world where the global governance and the local national governance have the feeling for its citizens. They represent the hopes and dreams of ordinary citizens and act in their policies and programs accordingly with honesty and genuinity. I see a compassionate business, a world with compassionate business where we have to follow the instruction given by Vedic Rishi, Shat Hastra Samahar Shastra Hasta Sankir. Earn with 100 hands and distribute in the society for the betterment, for the better good with 1,000 hands. That is the business, that is the corporate we have to build for goodness of the world. I see that world. I can see through your eyes, I can see through your hearts. I see compassionate faith in religious institutions. And I invite you to see where every single religion, all religions can celebrate unity and diversity. Their own unity, their own oneness and togetherness simultaneously. All temples and mosques in the world. I see that world where all temples and mosques and synagogues and gurudwaras and churches become the safest heaven for a child of any religion. A girl or a boy in need can knock on the door of any temple, any holy place, and they are embraced like their own children. I see a world where the judiciary and police is compassionate, where the justice reaches out to the last person of society, fairly and fast. Dear friends, let us march. As Vedic Rishi says, let us march from darkness to light. Asato ma sadgamay, tamaso ma jyotirgamay, mrityor ma amritam gamet. Let us march from falsehood, untruth to nobility, to truth. Let us march from mortality to divinity. Let us march from darkness to light. This is the place. This is the place. You are the people. That's why I'm taking much of your time, and I said that this is a very special day in the history when you can convert the forum for good into a real yajna, where you offer your best and make a compassionate world. Make oxygen so that all institutions and individuals, not only in India but globally, can survive and flourish. I invite you to join this dream and this movement. Don't feel that you alone cannot do. There was a heavy fire broken out in jungle. All animals and birds were rushing for a safer place, including King Lion. And Lion noticed a tiny hummingbird was flying towards flames, fire. And he surprisingly shouted, "What are you doing, committing suicide?" She replied, "No, sir. I am born and grew up here. I am going to extinguish this fire." "How come?" more surprisingly he asked. She said, "Lord, look at my beak. I am carrying a drop of water. I am doing my bit." Dear friends, that hummingbird decides each one of you. I am not a leader, I am not a priest. But I can feel that when you feel the suffering of others, when you wanted to help, when you wanted to join something to shape a new world of goodness, this is because of that hummingbird. I am here to awaken that hummingbird inside you. Come on and join the movement. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.